Started. Now, my distinguished friends have mentioned about inflation and expressed the fear that the rate of inflation may go up. May I, in all humility, say that this inflation is the result of an unprecedented drought which we had to face. What would you expect the result of the drought to be? What does it means? It means fall in agricultural production in that particular season or seasons when the drought occurs. Therefore, if we have less agricultural production, certainly the prices will go up. It is an inflationary pressure caused by drought. It was the result of an unprecedented drought. At least we should agree to accept this. It was not a man-made phenomenon. It was the result of natural calamities, whether now or in any other year. Sir, the drought this time was unprecedented by all means. But still, we have tried to control the wholesale price index by supply and demand management. All the state governments have set up control rooms. Here again, we require the cooperation of the state governments, myself or my colleague. The Minister of Civil Supplies sitting here in Delhi alone cannot control the price situation if the state governments are not active and dynamic enough. In this connection, I am thankful to the state governments that they have set up control rooms. I would request honorable members to visit those control rooms in the districts. They should see whether the district magistrates are regularly visiting the control rooms, whether action is being taken against the black marketers and hoarders, whether the supply and demand management system is being looked into in all the metropolitan areas, in big cities and district headquarters, and whether the village areas are receiving proper supply or not. It is not a party question. Let all of us look at what is happening in the states. You cannot blame us and praise the state governments. If the state governments are to be praised, we are also to be praised. Therefore, I would say that the constant vigilance is required on the price front. We should not be complacent, but we have to work together in this regard. Sir, mention has been made about the deficit. There has been consistent talk about the deficit. May I say, for my personal reference, that my distinguished friend did not mention this point in his speech. He mentioned other points, but not this one. He mentioned 2 or 3 points. One is that budget deficits have been reduced to manipulations and require the public sector enterprises to make advance payment of loans. Perhaps he mentioned this point and I correct. My friend perhaps is referring to prepayment of loans to 2 fertilizer companies. Now, what happened is that these companies, by giving direct loans, but because of procedural difficulties, it was decided that they will pay the loans through the central government. Therefore, on the one hand, the loans were given to the government, on the other, the government gave exactly those amounts to those companies which were to get those loans. So, on the one hand, it was a receipt on the central government side, on the other expenditure. So, there was a nil balance. It did not go to make up the deficit which the honorable member has said. I thought that being a good economist, you would know that it is not always that we should follow the dictum of Lord Churchill, that it is the duty of the opposition always to oppose the government and sometimes not to conciliate also. I thought he should have conciliated or at least encouraged me a step. If he would have said that we tried to limit the deficit of the current years to the best of my ability, and if he would have patted my back to this extent, I would have managed the deficit next year also. This year, we try to fulfill the promise made by the Prime Minister that we will adhere to the deficit of rupees 5,000 crores. In spite of drought conditions, in spite of our increasing defense expenditure, in spite of increased burden of dearness allowances, we try to keep it within manageable limits as promised by the Prime Minister. Regarding administered prices, my dear friend and colleague has already mentioned in some detail about it, but I say that this is a commercial decision taken by the concerned enterprises to adjust for the increases in costs. Now, my distinguished friends have mentioned about inflation and expressed the fear that the rate of inflation may go up. May I, in all humility, say that this inflation is the result of an unprecedented drought which we had to face. What would you expect the result of the drought to be? What does it mean? It means fall in agricultural production in that particular season or seasons when the drought occurs. Therefore, If we have less agricultural production, certainly the prices will go up. It is an inflationary pressure caused by drought. It was the result of an unprecedented drought. 846 वर्ड है, कौन वर्ड के 2C पार्ट का 7 नंबर बोला गया है और 80+ स्पीड है.